Hi, this is the second episode of the Fresh Start Project, and I'm Megan.
I'm Caitlin.
And I'm Alex.
And today we're going to be having a discussion about health, and we're going to be getting to know Alex a little bit more. So, Alex, what's your story?
I'm a felon, so I think that's a big thing that I should state out there because that's basically the main idea of everything that's going on, kind of like people who are incarcerated. So I am I was an ex-jailee, so person who was in jail, but I've been out for since March of 2019, so I haven't gone back at all, so I'm pretty happy about that. But it's just been a weird road through the whole law system and everything like that, and jail system and whatnot. And would you like me to tell more about my story on how
Well, I mean, your sentence isn't your story, so I'd like to know about your hobbies.
Hobbies?
Yeah.
Okay. So, by far a new thing about me that I've been kind of picking up a lot more on is anime. Mm-hmm. Very, very fun. Very out there sometimes. It's all like different. And then I have music as a big thing that's been part of my life since even before I was born, honestly. My mom always told me about how when a certain song would play when I was young, or actually still in my mom's stomach, I would go on beat sometimes and kick.
You did say that in our last interview.
I also have done that before. That's what my mom told me.
Seriously?
Yeah. I mean,
That's terrifying.
it's not the same type of music anymore, but, I still have some rhythm.
Oh, that's so bizarre. Okay. So what's your favorite music genre?
The Delta blues.
Okay.
So blues is a very big category and genre of music because blues is kind of at the heart of most newer genres like rap, rock, pop. It's a very big essence of how all those genres got started. I also like it because it's a little more cynical. The king of the Delta blues, he actually started the 27 Club. So you've heard of like Kurt Cobain, Amy Winehouse, even Robert Johnson himself. They all died at 27 because they supposedly made a deal with the devil.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I just have always loved it, and it always hit a chord because I lived off of a crossroads section, and that's kind of how the whole superstition started out. So I kind of love that. And I also love the twang of the guitar and the difference, the more emotion it has in it. Like you can just really project anything that you want to sing in a certain way that's very, very emotional. And so that's why I love the Delta blues. It's my favorite genre too.
And what's awesome too is that you also play guitar.
Yes.
So
yes.
is that the main thing that you play?
No, currently, I picked up guitar after I learned piano.
Oh, okay.
So piano was really my first instrument because it's really easy. It's just a bunch of keys on a keyboard, and then you just, I started off with just putting tape on the keys, and it was just like A, B, C, D, E, F.
That's the hardest part.
Yeah.
I always get confused.
Yeah, no, I was about like 4 or 5 when I started like messing around with piano because I would hear songs and then I would start playing it on a piano, and ever since then I've just had a hitch for music and I just love it so much.
So you're just born with this talent just to pick up different instruments?
I mean, I wouldn't say it's really talent. I would say more of like my whole family's into music, so it might be just in my bloodline to very much like music because before I was really anything like, or I tried to span out to other instruments. I had grown up with my mother who was a clarinet player, but she also had a beautiful voice. And so she didn't think so. She was very humble about it. But she loved music, and she played the clarinet, and she also played piano, and then her brothers and sisters, they all learned how to play piano, and not only that, different instruments, and it was quite cool. It's quite cool coming from a family that just loves music. We have a bunch of things around music too. Like I told you, my grandfather went to high school with Bob Dylan, and then not only that,
Bullied him.
yeah, and then my uncle, not blood related, uncle's uncle is Ferlin Husky, and he's a very known country singer to older people. So it's really cool having just all of that music in the family.
That's awesome. Having music around is so nice. I just, like, that's like my family too. Like, everyone's super musical. And, like, my uncles would just sit down and play guitar while we would be, like, chilling at the cabin or something. And it just makes the atmosphere so relaxing. So, and especially when you can play. I sort of taught myself piano, and I used to play violin. Violin was terrible. I had a Russian teacher. She would, like, clip my nails down to the brim. Awful. Don't pick it up. But yeah, so music, that's one of your hobbies. Do you have any other hobbies?
I'm very into video games.
Okay.
I love video games. Well, anything that has to do, like, I don't like Xbox or like computer Minecraft. I'm a big Minecraft guy. I've been playing Minecraft since I was
I
12.
love Minecraft.
So like I'm kind of a noob for it. My friends have even gone onto my worlds and said it's sad because I put so much time and effort into actually playing the game. And yeah, no, it's something that I've been playing since I was 12. So it's not going to just easily, it's very, very creative. And my mother actually was also went to college for graphic design. So she got me into like making houses and sketching houses and stuff like that. So that was something that was very big in my life too. So then when Minecraft came out, I was like, oh my gosh, I can just make the stuff in a video game.
Well, they use that in schools. I know that some teachers are like, hey, this is your homework. Build a house.
Yeah, I definitely didn't use that in school, but I did do it in school.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I used to build like all the worlds like up in the sky. I thought that was the coolest thing ever to have those like massive cities in the sky.
But the one thing, they took away joining worlds. So on your phone, you could join worlds with people, but they took that away.
You can do it if you're
you
on
have
the
a
same
server.
the same internet connection.
Yeah.
Okay, I've tried. Doesn't work.
Really?
It's really sad.
Oh wow.
Because that was my childhood.
I was gonna say that's what my cousins usually do at like family holidays. They're at Easter in just like their own room.
Yeah.
Just play Minecraft, and then we're like, it's time to eat, and they're like, no, I'm
You
good.
get so addicted. It's such a fun game. And you're big into Pokemon Go, right?
Yes, another aspect of anime. Honestly, I grew up with anime before I even knew what anime was because my father, he's from Mexico. He's a Mexican citizen, and in Mexico they have a very, very big love. So each country has a different certain anime that they just love. And in Mexico, they are obsessed with Dragon Ball Z. Just obsessed with it. There's street signs, there's restaurants, all centered around Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z and all that stuff. It's really funny. So I grew up on it, not even knowing it was anime. And then during the time of like the prime years of Cartoon Network and all that stuff, Teen Titans came on and Pokemon. So I started really getting into that. And then in 2020, when COVID really shut down everything, you couldn't go out, you couldn't go hanging out with anybody, nothing, because COVID was running rampant. So what I did was all of that summer, I dedicated time to my best friend and his wife. He's younger than me, by the way. Just want to make that. I wasn't hanging out with like some 40-year-old or anything like that. Just playing Pokemon Go when I was 20. But it was just us three. And at the time, I was on probation, but the thing is I never really was monitored by my probation officer at that time, so I was very heavily using the herbs and spices, so there was that, and that was fun, because all I did all year round, or all summer, was go across Minnesota with my friends, and just do that and play Pokemon Go. So it was quite fun.
Sounds like an
That sounds like
adventure.
fun.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Yeah.
So you mentioned you got into this during COVID, which was 2020, and you were released in 2019.
Yes.
So COVID, was that hard on you when you first got out, and then all of a sudden lockdown again? You have to.
No, so I got out in 2019.
Right.
And then I had some time to adjust to it because, I mean, it's been weird. It's been a very strange, it's never happened in our lifetime before, so it's very different. I guess was never used to it. So, in 2019, I was getting back on my feet after being in jail.
Yep.
And, being a month in jail, that was not much fun because, I mean, it's jail. So
Yeah.
there's that. But then that was in March, and then when 2020 hit, I had just started working at a vape shop. And yeah, no, I didn't really have to worry about being an essential worker or anything like that. So I just, the day before COVID, I bought myself a Nintendo Switch Lite and Skyrim and Pokemon Sword and Shield. And then I was fine.
Did that help you get through COVID?
No, I ended up breaking my Switch playing a game of Fortnite. So. Yeah,
How do
so
you
that
do
happened.
that? Did you throw it?
So my family's house is in the middle of the country, so we don't get the best Wi-Fi signal. And I lagged, and I decided to just pop.
Oh.
And I was shocked, and my friends were shocked too because I had just broken my Switch.
That's really funny.
Yeah, no, not really. That was $200 down down the drain. And I lost all my gameplay and all my savings and whatnot in Skyrim, so that sucked. And I also spent like $100 on shiny Pokemon.
Wow, it just keeps getting worse.
Yeah.
Just keep adding to it.
Yeah. I wish I would have still had it because I would have played more Pokemon games. But it's whatever.
Are you planning on getting another one?
No. No.
Why not?
Well, because in about 2 years from now, hopefully with good behavior, I'm off of probation.
Right.
I'm moving straight down to Mexico and never coming back. So.
And you're moving to Mexico to see your dad, correct?
See my father, be with my father, who I have not seen since 2009.
Okay.
And then my whole family I haven't seen since 2007. So It's been quite a long time not seeing them at all. And, I've been with my family up here for so long that, my abuela, my grandma down in Mexico isn't going to be alive forever. So, it would be good to say hi to them, see them, and then also get that shocking look of surprise when they see how tall I am compared to everybody else, because my father is 5'4".
Wow.
Yeah, and my mom is 5'7". My dad will try saying he's 5'5". He's not one bit. So I don't know where I got it from. So they're going to be quite shocked once they see me in person.
How
Again,
tall are you?
I'm 5'9". I like to say
Okay.
I'm 5'11", but I am 5'9".
Okay.
Yeah.
So do you know any Spanish when you get down there?
No.
Does your family, are they fluent?
Yes, I'm just going to wing it. That's what my mom did. That's how she learned
Well,
Spanish.
yeah.
She lived a year down there.
So is your mom Mexican as well?
My mom is white.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay.
She is Norwegian
Okay.
and Serbian.
All right. Where
Yeah.
is she from? Minnesota?
Yeah, she's from Minnesota. But
Okay.
she's a strawberry blonde?
Oh,
I like
okay.
to say. I don't know. I just don't rather have freckles from her and curly
Okay.
hair, so that's about it.
Just not the strawberry blonde part at all.
Once I'm out in the sun.
Oh, okay.
Once I'm out in the sun, if I'm outside for a long period of time, my hair starts kind of turning like a strawberry brown, which is weird, but it happens.
Okay.
Interesting.
It doesn't seem like you're gonna get that with all the
No.
snow that's coming down outside, but hopefully soon enough.
Yeah, hopefully soon enough, because it's just it's a weird. My mom always liked to say that Minnesota is bipolar, so yeah.
Oh, it totally is.
I 100% agree with that one.
It's terrible.
It was 80 degrees last week and now it's snowing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's sad.
So back to your hobbies. You were also in sports in high school.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to talk about that?
So I was in football, track, and wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is, though, is my mom, she didn't really let me go into sports until I was in middle school. So I was very behind people.
Why? Why is that?
Because I was her firstborn and I was her only son.
Okay.
And she didn't want to see me get insane brain damage or something.
It's fair.
Even though I have more brain damage outside of high school than I got brain damage inside of high school and sports.
Alright.
So, yeah, no, it was a fun time. I loved it, but I mean, I don't know. It was okay. I had a lot of fun memories, but thing in the past.
Okay. And what sports did you play? You played wrestling.
Wrestling, I did football, and I was in track. I was long distance to mid distance to even long jump, depending on what they needed me in, or even hurdles. So
I remember you telling me about that, and I just thought that was crazy because those are different muscle groups altogether. Like long distance and jumping. But I guess it's high school sports, so.
yeah, it's fun though, because I mean, when you're that age, you know, you get to see a bunch of people from different schools, and I had joined track because I sucked at baseball in middle school, so I joined it because I didn't want to stay home or anything like that, or go on the farm and clean stalls every single day. And horse stalls are the worst, by the way. Just gonna say that, so be careful of getting a horse.
Okay.
But yeah, no, it was fun, especially because I was a freshman, and you know, there's a lot of people that I saw attractive, and I was just like, he. So, yeah, it was fun.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. So right now, you said that you went on a 5-mile walk doing Pokemon Go.
Yeah, almost every other day.
That's super impressive. Do you go for a run still?
No,
No?
I vape. So
Okay.
yeah, my lungs are basically shot.
You know, running helps endorphins and same feeling.
You know, nicotine does that too.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Not advocating for underage use though. So I'm 23.
No. Okay. Yeah, exactly. So how do you stay fit? How do you work out or get out?
Well, you see, I drink a lot of water. I try to eat at least 2 meals a day. It's not the best. Drink lots of caffeine. No, I don't really stay fit. I just do anything that somebody needs help with. I'm not that tired because honestly I'm still young, so I don't get that drain of energy right away. So
Right.
it's nice.
So yeah, how are your energy levels throughout the day?
Depends on my mood. Depends also on my medication, and depends on how much caffeine I take, because for me, so my therapist is pretty sure I have ADHD. I still need to get that checked out with my psychologist, but she's waiting a little bit till she gets to know me a little bit more. But the more caffeine I drink, the calmer I am.
Interesting.
Yeah, very, very.
Because it has a reverse effect on people.
Yeah, and a lot of people who have ADHD too, they're the complete opposite.
Okay.
So that's why, like with Adderall, like people who abuse it and aren't prescribed it, they will get all fidgety and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But it's the complete opposite for people with ADHD.
Interesting.
Do you think that like anything developed while you were in prison that is now like affecting you when you're out?
Jail.
Yes, sorry.
Yes.
Jail.
Singing helps. I actually sang like I was on Broadway one time in a cell unit, and yeah, no, I was never punched or anything like that. So I mean, that helped me out. So I sang like I was on Broadway, and everybody clapped, but then the CO was like, okay, we get it. I like your singing, but you gotta be quiet now. So that helped out. So I wasn't beat up or anything like that.
Can you
so that's
expand on that? That's awesome. Did you do that in jail?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I was 19, so I was still pretty young, and especially with everybody there, they're all older and stuff, and you know, I did the crime, so I did some time, and a bunch of guys were just like, oh my gosh, you're still in high school and whatnot, you know, you're still a kid. Well, no, actually, no, I'd gotten out of high school in 18, so college freshman age. Yeah.
Yeah.
Your guys' age. Yeah, no, there's a lot of people in there. There's a lot of people who will like make music and they'll rap or they make anything like that. And I was able to expand to basically every group there because I mean I wasn't really I was raised to not see people by color and stuff like that. So like it was just really easy for me to just talk to someone and not be afraid or anything like that. And eventually I started singing and stuff, and people wanted to hear me sing. So then I'd be in one of the cells, and there'd be like 5 to like 10 guys just sitting there listening to me sing. And then eventually one guy for a ramen noodle, he's like, "Hey yo!" and he like yelled out to this cul-de-sac of just people in these tables. He was like, "Listen to this guy sing," and started singing like I was on Broadway. So
That's
yeah.
awesome. Just
That's
out of
so
the
cool.
blue, random.
Yeah, yeah.
And did you surround yourself with people when you were in jail that were musical? Was that a
No.
natural instinct for you? No.
No. I just talk to anybody. If there's cards, you get to meet new people or mingle with some of the people in there. And I learned card games like cribbage and whatnot to help out with like passing the time. Learned how to really play solitaire. And there's just people, there's just all different types of people. So if you know one of their hobbies or you have the same interest, it's easier to, be able to be like on neutral terms with everybody, luckily.
And did you meet people there that were in jail for way longer than you who are still in there right now?
So usually a sentence in jail is only up to a year, I think, or maybe just a day less than a year. Anything after that, you're sent to prison.
Okay.
So there were people and some people who very much deserved to be in there. There's some scary people, but there's also a lot of people who had very minor crimes. But I mean, like, there's a lot. It's like a very big, like, it's good that we have the crime system, but at the same time, it also, to me, it seems like a money grab sometimes, because the more money you have in there, or the more people you have in there, the more money you get.
Yep.
So each person, it's like $34 a day. And then, what were we talking about? Sorry, I totally
Oh,
lost
just sentences and jail time and
If you
Oh, yeah,
knew anybody
yeah.
who was
It's
still,
still in there.
Well, I found out a relative of mine is in jail right now. So, and my sister was just in jail. Yeah, but she's
Okay.
out now. So, that's pretty good. Shout out to my sister. Hey, Abby.
Is she younger than you?
She's 18.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, she was young and she was a minor, so she did something dumb. And then she violated probation when she turned 18, so she went to the jail, and I have a screenshot of her. I screenshotted her picture and everything like that, and yeah, we all talked about it, and we were like, "All right, you look pretty good in the picture. That was pretty dope." She dressed to impress, I guess. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like her
Love.
mugshot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Could
guess
bond
so.
over it.
Not the best thing, but
No, but
yeah, it's funny.
do you see your sister?
I do see. No, honestly, my sister's been living her own life. All 3 of my sisters have very different lives. Adi is the main one. She's 18. She kind of does her own thing. She's been hanging out in the cities more often than there's a 15-year-old, and she is in high school still. And then I have a 6-year-old sister, and she moved down to by the Rochester area, so it's pretty far away. But yeah, no, she's a cutie. And I talk to them not as much as the 6-year-old, but the 2 other ones I talk to them every other day. Try to FaceTime them,
That's
let them
nice.
talk to me, so then they can just spill everything, word vomit, so
Yeah.
then they don't feel as stressed. So
That's good. Would they also join you in Mexico?
you see, it's very dangerous. although you might have people that are very, very, you know, like you have like you could have relatives or something like that. Depends on where you go, where you stay, and whatnot. And I've heard of corruption, but there's corruption everywhere, like in the United States, everything like that. So it all depends. And I don't know. For my sisters, it's a little more dangerous because they are very pretty. So somebody would get the chance, they would definitely snatch them up because they're the tallest one's only 5'3", so they're not very big people. So.
Gets it from your dad. Oh.
Shortness from my dad, skinniness from my mom.
Okay.
Yeah.
So back to your jail time. Did you spend a year then in jail, or how long was your sentence?
A month.
Oh, a month. Okay.
Yeah, it was nice. I also was blessed to be able to be in a nicer jail, so I was able to play Xbox and do a bunch of other things that would only be a dream in some other jails.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was really nice being able to go there. I mean, it was also on the same road that I lived on. Right. So I literally walked home right after my
That's kind of nice.
Yeah, it was very strange.
Yeah.
It also was it kind of hurt a little bit too because I was so close to my sisters and my family, So it was right there, but I couldn't see them.
But when you got out and you walked home, could you describe that feeling? Do you remember it?
I do. I remembered that I had a big jar of Nutella back at home. So I said hi to everybody. Then I went to my room with a jar of Nutella and started making more music.
Wow.
Yeah. Very strange.
I've been itching to ask this question, but is there or was there a solitary confinement in your jail or the jail that you were at?
So there's different block units. Mm-hmm. There's different things like that. So before you are put in front of a judge, you're put into the C unit, and that's kind of like a bunch of people who had just got into jail. So they're just waiting for their court date, which is usually the day after or the same day, depending on what time. And then after that, you get put into general population, mm-hmm. and it depends if you're there was 3 units, one for people who had sex crimes, one for people who just were general population. So I went into that one, and then there was ex-prisoners. And it was very generous with the amount of people that was in each unit, but you wouldn't go into the other unit because, especially with people who were released out of prison and stuff like that, if you were put in the right prison, you would become very aggressive. Mm-hmm. So you wouldn't want somebody who maybe smoked weed on probation and was doing a probation violation with somebody who was an prisoner who was in prison for physical assault or something like that. You wouldn't want that because with the ex-prisoners, there was lockdown for every other unit so they could get more of the COs to go into that unit with the prisoners because there was so much fighting going on every day. So, yeah, it was very different cell units, and it would all depend on how respectful you were, if you were an ex-prisoner, if you were aggressive, all that stuff. There's also so a big thing, there's a lot of people who go in and they think their life is over, they are terrified.
I mean, rightfully so.
Yeah, rightfully so. They're terrified. So they have these poncho-looking things, and they're basically like suicide suits, so you can't hurt yourself. And then there's solitary confinement, and you just sit in a cell with this thing on, and you can't do anything. So there's that if you are suicidal.
Okay, and do you know anyone who went in there?
No, but I heard so many stories. I have always had a suicidal background, mm-hmm. So as soon as I went in there and I explained it to one of the cell mates that I had at the time, he's like, "Don't say anything. Don't even try to mention it. Nothing, because you're gonna be put into a poncho, and you're just gonna be sat in a room with nothing besides a toilet. That's all. You're not going to get a blanket, nothing. So
How would that help?
it doesn't. It doesn't.
Yeah, so like I don't know, is there a better way to go about?
I mean, if a person's very set on harming themselves, there's really nothing you can do.
Yeah.
So the poncho is the only way. It doesn't help, but it at the same time it does, kind of. Because, I mean, some people could have manic episodes and they could go into a full-on rage. They could go into a full-on feeling of just wanting to kill themselves or harm themselves. So you need to restrain them, because if you don't, then you're going to have a bad reputation for that jail having people committing suicide so easily when it's supposed to be safer.
Yeah. Are there psychiatrists or therapists within the jail that could talk to these people?
Yes. Actually, I have some notes, because I was talking to my therapist, who was a therapist for 4 years in the St. Cloud prison.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, so I found out a bunch of things.
Awesome, sure.
Yeah, a lot of things that not a lot of people know about, but when they have just been released, when convicts have just been released, it depends on like how long they've been in. So the people who are in there longer tend to have a really, really hard time getting to be back in just having the freedom and not having anything, because some offenders have been in there for so long that they're subjected to a routine lifestyle. So they're told when to poop, when to eat, when to take a shower, everything, that they're so used to it for so long that after so long they don't know how to do it by themselves. So it doesn't help out really, and that's what one of the things my therapist has said. But not only that, I found out that a lot of people who have just gotten out of prison and stuff like that, this is something that will really help out with like an understanding of mental illness and the mental health aspect, especially with people who keep on going back into prisons and stuff. I just found out that offenders usually with mental illnesses are given only 2 weeks of medications, and then they don't have anything else.
Medications within the jail, or when they get
When they're
released?
When they're released, they only have 2 weeks, and getting medication out of like prison and stuff like that is so much harder, so much more expensive, because if you don't have insurance, which I will also say medical assistance and medical help is very, very hard to get. It took me like a month and a half to be able to get on medical assistance. And so you can really see that one of the reasons why convicts and stuff like that and offenders keep on going back is because they have no way of being able to get to their medication. So
yeah, I feel like when we went to the Dream Center, Pastor Michael, he gave us this activity to do where we were basically given an envelope where it had like certain cards in it, and then he went through like scenarios where you would have to use up your cards, and you'd have to see like kind of how far you get. And some people, like Megan, she had a lot of cards, and then like the rest of us had like very minimal, and so she was able to get further in her like after getting out experience. I feel like it's just so interesting how like, yeah, you're in a government facility, but like when you get out, you're just on your own. Like they don't really give you anything to.
And what they give you is nothing.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you're trying to get health insurance with absolutely no way of getting it.
Yeah. My therapist also told me that the COs, the prison guards, the nurses, everything, they treat the prisoners like trash. Complete trash.
Really?
Yeah, that's one of the reasons why she got out of the prison and started her own thing, because she just couldn't handle the fact that there was so much disrespect to people who were convicted of crimes, and they're just not used to really having a nice way of people being nice to them. So when they're introduced to that, they're shocked. So
why do you think that is?
Because there's a big stigma, and for some crimes I do understand, but there's a big stigma that all people who commit a crime are bad. and it's just not the case. So when people go in to be like a CEO, a correction officer, or a nurse or something, they think of the worst. They're like, they're all horrible people, so they deserve to be in here, and they just don't get the respect that they need.
Yeah. So this is why we're doing this podcast. Because, like, look at you. You committed one crime. You're not a bad guy. You have so much more to offer, and you have so many good ideas, and I think that's ridiculous. One of the things we talked about in our class was just saying when you're going through medical school, a part of training should be doing your residence in a jail. How do you feel about that idea?
I think it would be a good idea. I mean, you can have there's so many different opinions that you can have on that. It all depends. Honestly, it depends on which prison or jail, how safe it is. If it's like a minimal security prison, then it would be a lot easier. But if it's a maximum security prison, I wouldn't go in there and try, because there's a lot of bad people in there.
Right, but to do it in like just a jail,
I mean, yeah, but when I was in the jail, I went once, saw a nurse, and then left, but it was all really quick. So, I mean, you could have multiple people in doing that, but it's a lot harder. I mean, it would also be easy. It's very strange. There's a lot of different...
There's a lot of factors. Yeah. So how was your experience with the nurses there and the therapists there? Did you have good experiences, bad?
So I up until around this year, I've been getting better, becoming a better person.
Good.
But before then, I was very secluded. I didn't want to tell people my emotions, because if I did, I felt like I would always be shunned or attacked. So I didn't see a therapist, but you need to go and see the nurse, because they have to do like certain there's like, I don't think it's pneumonia or something. I don't know what it is, but it's a lung infection, and they'll put a little shot in you to see if you have it or something like that. And after that, you just are like, hey, say your name, everything like that, and then just leave. And if you have medications that you've taken before or are on, then they'll give you and prescribe those medications.
Okay. And how often were those visits?
I only went once.
Okay, so once in 1 month.
Yeah, I just hid everything away because I didn't want to be put in one of those suits.
So do you request to see a nurse, or is it mandatory?
So the nurse is mandatory because they have to make sure, because so have you ever heard of puppy cough? So puppies get sick usually after they're out of their litter and stuff like that. And it's the same concept with jails and whatnot, or prison. If you're in an area for so long, everybody has the same immune system, and as soon as a person who has something comes in, it can spread really quickly.
Yep.
So they have to check out and make sure that you don't have anything that could be contagious. It's bronchitis, I think it is, that you need a little tiny thing, because there's a little tiny, they just shot a little bit of liquid, and if it was still going to be there, then I would have had bronchitis, but I didn't, so it just disappeared. But that's all they did.
Okay.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, one thing that I want to go back on that's not exactly related to this, but you said that in the jail that you were in, ex-prisoners went in. Why would ex-prisoners go into a jail?
So let's say you're on parole or something. So there's probation and then there's parole. Probation is just even if you don't go to jail, you can be put on probation. And with parole, you have to have gone to prison, because once you get out of prison, then you have a parole officer. It's the same thing as a probation officer. And they're people who are on parole have a lot harder terms that they have to be on, so they tend to get put back into jail or prison quicker. So they need like a cell unit for people who have been in, or like who are on parole. So then they can go straight to that unit and then straight to prison.
So does that mean that you were with people who committed similar crimes to you?
There was from DWIs to drunken arrests to people who were very bad people. It just depended. There was like a mix of the bunch, honestly.
And this is probably a very naive question, but did you ever feel unsafe in jail?
For the first day, yes.
First day, okay.
Yeah. And then I met this big guy, this really big guy, and we were both Chicano. So a Chicano is a Mexican that's born in the United States. And he was a 6'5" guy, red hair. I think I told you he had LA on his neck and everything like that. And everybody just stayed away from him because he was a big guy, and he was known for being very aggressive. But he knew me and everything like that, and he's like you're a kid, so I'm gonna have you under my arm, so nobody will attack you, and nobody's gonna go against this big giant guy, a big unit. So
Yeah.
yeah.
So that's why you felt safe.
And
Okay.
not only that, the more I was able to explain the whole situation of my story, the more the people were like, "You're just a kid. You should have learned. They should have taught you in high school.
Yep.
Certain stuff." And I mean, yeah, that's a big thing. Is learning all the laws that you'll really need in your life compared to, just taxes and whatnot.
Yeah. So you felt this form of protection. Did that help with your mental health in jail?
No.
No? Okay.
No. Mental health is you against yourself.
Right.
So it can be you betraying yourself, you thinking you're not strong enough, you thinking you're too weak, you thinking that you don't deserve anything good, you thinking, all these horrible things about yourself, especially when you have such a hard mental illness. It can really take a toll on you very badly. So it's like, it's a very like a solitaire game, basically. It's like you just versus yourself, and you have to learn how to get everything together.
So how do you, in times of where you're really doubting yourself and everything that you just explained, how do you personally get out of those dark episodes?
I've been doing better because for me now, what I do is I actually reach out to people, like my friends. I only have 3 friends. I don't really see anybody else as like a friend or something that I see them as an acquaintance. So I will reach out to one of them and just say, I'm not doing good. I'm having a bad day, or I feel like I'm like suicidal or something. I talk to them, and if I can do something about it, then it's a lot easier. But besides that, there's really nothing else you can do besides dwell on it. And I've done a lot of that in my life, is just dwelling on it. And it's harder too for it's harder, like as a man especially, it's a lot harder to really open up because you have the stigma of having to be strong, having to be brave and tough, and you're not really able to express emotion, so it's like really toxic masculinity. But it's very difficult, I guess, and especially because I was raised by my grandparents, and they're both boomers, so they're very much like, oh, you can do it by yourself, oh, you're tough enough, oh, don't cry, that kind of situation.
So I think you're a really good advocate to talk about mental health, because you were saying previously that it's generational mental health, and every generation has a different mental health issue. So your grandparents, for example, it's very on your own, but Gen Z, for example, has a lot more mental health issues, and we're learning a lot more, especially about males' mental health, that goes unnoticed a lot. Do you want to talk about I don't know, your thoughts on this generation's mental health?
So today's generation is more educated than any other generation because of the fact that we have the internet right in our hands. So we're starting to open up, and we're starting, as a population and as a generation, we're starting to accept each other a lot more, and we're starting to realize that we're all just humans. But for different generations, they didn't grow up with the knowledge of the internet, and they grew up with having to, have resources from their parents or their like teachers or something like that, So it's very different, especially because I just noticed that yesterday I'm friends, all three of my friends are millennials. Well, actually, no, 3 millennials, 2 millennials, and then a Gen Z, which is my best friend. And the 2 millennials, they act more emotional. Like we're emotional, but we're more like used to like being bullied and stuff like that because we've had so much cyberbullying, and it's kind of become part of us to kind of say dumb things or say out of character lines, or
Yeah, that's so true.
So we're used to it. We're used to like somebody being like, "Oh, you're stupid," and being like, "LOL,"
Yeah.
But with like millennials, I noticed too, they're more like, "Don't say that. That hurts my feelings," and they're more open about saying it.
Yeah.
And then you have Gen X. That's the generation of all the Karens. So there's that.
Oh Lord, no. You can't have that.
Yeah, sadly, my aunt's one of them. So
Oh, is her name Karen?
no,
That would be
That would
even
that would be
worse.
yeah. That's imagine yourself being named Karen, and then now just being called a Karen is just like an insult.
Yeah.
That would stink.
I bet that name's gonna slowly fade away.
I actually know someone that went to my high school. Her name is Karen.
Karen.
And like when that first started coming out, everybody would say it to her. Even if you didn't like actually know her, she still was just a Karen.
Yeah.
And I felt so bad.
Or the name Rachel. There's, not in a bad way, but have you seen that meme where it's like, never mind, I'm not gonna
No,
say
I don't
it,
even know what
but,
you're talking about.
no. Anyways. What were we talking about?
I don't know.
Do you have any questions for us?
What other health aspects have you not really touched on so far?
Well, we haven't, let's see, we talked about your physical health because sport. I'm interested, what recreational activities were there offered in jail?
So there was a gym area where you could work out and stuff like that, but there was also like a regular gym where you could play like basketball or something like that and bet people like noodles or stuff like that, and you could do that. Or like in the main cell unit, there was like everybody was playing cards, so that's all everybody was doing. There's some people who were drawing. There's some people who were making raps. There's some people just listening to the TV because you couldn't. There was 3 different TVs in the cell unit that I was at, and the only way you could listen to them was having your own tiny little radio, and then going into the certain FM frequency. So
Okay.
yeah.
So did you go to any of these basketball or gym area?
I did for a little bit, and then I started watching what's that? The Wendy Williams show. Yeah, that was a very big thing because in jail you just wait for noon, and the Wendy show is on.
What's the Wendy show?
I've never heard of it.
You've never heard of Wendy Williams?
No.
She's pretty funny, although she's also very unhinged. But you'll definitely have to check her up after this. Very funny person.
Well.
Yeah. Yeah. Did you ever see that one meme of that chick with a Statue of Liberty costume kind of going into shock and just falling down on a stage?
No, but now I want to.
Yeah. That one, that's the Wendy Williams show.
Okay.
There was also just Criminal Minds playing, or
Criminal
That's
Minds.
a great
but
show.
That's ironic.
I don't know.
Oh,
For me,
that's not-
Criminal Minds just became like so repetitive because it's the same thing.
Yeah,
You know,
I guess, yeah.
bad guy hunts down person. They find a body. The body is examined. Then they find that there's a serial killer. Then the serial killer is caught finally. And then there's a poetic line at the end. And they're on an airplane. And then it starts over. It's the same thing
That's
over
very
and over
true.
and over. So.
It's so true. And Forensic Files. Have you ever seen that?
No, I have not. No, I
That's
have
an
not.
old one, but there's so many of those shows.
Yeah, there is. Yeah.
They actually just came out with like 2 new seasons of Criminal Minds.
Really?
Yeah, it's
Oh
on
my.
Paramount Plus, I think.
Awesome.
I only
love
watched the first
those.
one and it was very gruesome, and then I was like, okay, maybe not right before bed, and then I went to bed.
See, I can watch like a murder documentary, but I cannot watch a horror movie before bed.
I get that.
And my like relaxed downtime shows are like What Happened to Cindy.
Yeah, no, one time I played with a Ouija board before I went to bed, so
Oh,
there's
good Lord.
that.
That's so bad. I could not sleep after that.
Those movies were so. Have you watched any of those?
No, wait, which ones?
Like the Ouija board movies.
I also did a Ouija board
That's
in a
what he
cemetery.
said.
I know, but like the
So-
movies are.
Why?
I guess none of that stuff really scares me
Okay.
because I mean I've seen like dead bodies. I'm not gonna joke with you. I am pretty sure gingerbread men are real. They are alive, man. When I was 5 years old, okay, it was kindergarten, right? I was you know how like they did the gingerbread thing, you know, like they had like the book and everything, and they would read you it. So they did that whole thing, and our principal he was like, oh yeah, I caught them and everything like that. So then we went into the library, and the librarian started reading the book, and there was just a bunch of gingerbread cookies just sitting there, and there's a bunch of teachers. I'm sitting there, and I have ADHD, so I'm just looking around. I'm not even paying attention to the book, and I look at the plate of gingerbread men, and I kid you not, I saw a leg move. I'm not kidding. I saw a leg move, and then I saw my one of the teachers like pat it down and look at me and go shh, and I was like, so I am pretty sure gingerbread men are real. Okay, I don't care what anything else. There could be a chupacabra. I don't care. Gingerbread men are real. So
Have you ever eaten a gingerbread cookie?
yes,
Oh.
yeah.
So
I
like a
even-
ghost gingerbread or like just gingerbread men, like they're just walk and they have houses and.
Well, I don't think that. I don't know. It's something I can't explain. It was just right there. So like it just happened in front of me, and I was shocked. So I'm like, I think my teacher's a witch. So yeah, there was that. Yeah.
Okay, see, I want to know so much more, but we do have to stop because we have reached our time today. But thank you, Alex.
Yeah, thank you so
Yeah.
much for coming on.
Yeah, it was a great time.
And if you want to come back, please come back. And also bring your guitar next
Okay.
time, too.
Yeah, I'll definitely do that.
Yeah, we would
Yeah.
love to hear that. All right, do you want to conclude?
Thank you for watching the Fresh Start Project second episode of the podcast. I think we should expect a new episode coming out sometime soon, right?
Yep, before the end of the semester.
So
hopefully.
soon. So soon.